All right, guys, we got one last speaker for the day. This man does not need an introduction, but I will anyways. He is the founder of Norman & Young. He is the founder of Real Estate Photographer Pro. He is the reason we are all here today. Give it up one time, loud as you can, for Mr. Eli Jones.
There's no way that I can match Justin or Emmaus's energy, so I figured the second best thing was to have him introduce me, which was a good move. So jumping into it, how many of you have the event app? Okay, so there's like a little description of everybody's talk, and I was like, oh, I wonder what mine is. And so I opened it, and it said I'm gonna be teaching the Focus Decision Framework, and I'm kidding you not, I have never heard of that in my life. That's not what I'm talking about. It somehow made it in there, so whatever that is, we'll come up with something for it next year. But what I'm gonna share today, I think it's something new, and it's something we learned, and I swear this is not a huge Rep Engine pitch. I mean, a little bit, but it's something we learned with Rep Engine that I think changed how I'm approaching my business, not just at Norman & Young, but also at Rep. And it's around client LTV, so we'll jump into it. This is my ChatGPT nonsense that I came up with. So this is a quote that when you first hear it, it seems pretty obvious. Without there is no company. And I know that kind of goes without saying, but I wanted to share something with you that made that quote hit much, much harder for me. How many of you have heard me say that on a call before? Especially a launch call. Like, that's step one, is without clients, there is no company. You got to get some clients. A few months ago, we launched Rep Engine, which is where you can have our sales team make cold calls on your behalf and book new clients, free shoots onto your calendar. And so today I want to share with you what we've learned from Engine. I promise this is not all going to be scripted like this. I just got to set the stage properly. So, because it applies to all types of client acquisition, which is, you should totally sign up for Rep Engine. I'm just kidding. Let's get into it. So there's a formula that's running behind the scenes in your business, whether you know it or not. And we call it, how many of you are in Rep Engine currently? Have us calling for you. Okay, so it's called Client Conversion Formula. And one of the things we found is that some people, when they do free shoots and when they get shoots on their calendar, they crush it and they rebook those clients, and they get a lot of ROI from any form of client acquisition. It doesn't matter if it's Rep Engine or doing your own cold calls or the Instagram method or whatever. Some people get a much bigger return than others. And so I want to talk through some of those variables and give you a little bit of insight as to what that could look like for your business. So if you know this equation, you know how to improve the variables, you can literally control how fast your business grows and make data-driven decisions around that, and when it comes to your client acquisition. And so without that, and I think this is the way I've run my business for a long time, and it works. It's just not the best, which is you do what client acquisition you can, right? Like you put some money into it. Maybe you run some Facebook ads, maybe you do the Instagram method for a while, you hire a VA to do that for you. How many of you guys have actually quantified how much it costs you to acquire a customer? Like, raise your hand if you know generally like your client acquisition cost. So some people. Another one, I think this is all generated from literally everybody in this room watching Hormozy videos, is people will get on my coaching calls and I'll be like, Eli, what's the LTV of a real estate media client? Or what's CAC to get a real estate media client? I'm like, I have no idea. I don't even know how you calculate in this business, right? I mean, I have clients from 12 years ago. My first client, Ann, still works with us. So I'm like, I don't really know the best way to take a stab at calculating LTV. And it's like, well, why do you need to know that? And that's kind of what this is about. But I wanted to dive into that specifically because we had to get much more focused with it as we're scaling Rep Engine, because that's the first question that most of you have. Well, how much can I pay for a customer? And so it made us really think. So today I'm going to show you the most important part of it, which you can use in your business, which is that formula itself. And more importantly, the things that you can control that make the difference between someone who's crushing free to paid conversion and someone who's like, I don't do free, no one comes back. Because it's not the free that determines that, right? It's everything that you do to run your business. And so, as many of you know, we call it money math. It's my absolute favorite type of math. And in this case, it's kind of like a volume knob for money in your business. And here's the formula. It's LTV divided by CAC times speed equals money. And like a third of you are writing that down. The other 2/3 is on the right track, because the formula itself is not super important and it's not like super scientific, but it illustrates the important point that I want to get across today. So quick note before we dive in, knowing the effect of the formula is more important than the actual formula itself. So you don't need to know how to do math. If you're not a math person, stay with me. Here are the terms. So first one is LTV, which is how much a customer is worth to you and worth to your business, how much money you're going to make from them. It's kind of hard to define in our business, like I said earlier, just because, how many of you have your first customer is still a client of yours? People, right? So it makes it really hard to figure out how much a client's worth. But what we can do, and first of all, let me step back for a second. That is like the most beautiful thing about this business, is that our clients are recurring. So just because it makes it harder to calculate our LTV doesn't mean it's not absolutely the best thing. I'm much more glad that it's hard to calculate than it's, they stay 2 years and they churn every time, because that would make the compounding growth of our businesses a lot more difficult. So first one is LTV, how much a customer is worth to your business. The second one is customer acquisition cost, or CAC, which is how much it costs you to acquire a customer. Speed is how soon you get the customer. And this is something that is really interesting about our business, because a customer today is worth a lot more than the same customer a year from now. Right? Like if you get a customer today, they're going to use you for the next year and then still be a customer at that 1 year mark. So we'll circle back to this in a second, but this is a really important one. The sooner you get a customer, the more valuable it is to your business. Lastly is the ROI you get from that client acquisition. And the way that we kind of think about it, and I've learned a lot from REPP that applies to Norman & Young, which is pretty interesting. And one of the ways a lot of quote unquote internet marketers think about it is they think of the marketing side of their business kind of like this mysterious money-making vending machine, where you put $1 in and some, $2 comes out, half a dollar comes out. If you do that, you don't stay in business very long. $4 comes back out. And so your job on the marketing side of your business, at least from a rep standpoint, is I need to figure out how to put $1 in and get the most amount of dollars back out. And that's also true for all of your businesses as well. This vending machine exists for all of us. It's just not as straightforward as paying Facebook to run ads and seeing how much return on ad spend you get. We have to calculate all of our acquisition methods, right? We have to look at what it costs us to hire a VA to do the Instagram method. And when you do that, how many results do you get? Because then you can divide that number and figure out what your customer acquisition cost is for that channel. So this formula helps us answer two really important questions, which are number one, how much is a client actually worth to your business over what period of time? And then number two, how much would you pay for a customer if you could buy one? Because if you can answer those questions, you can make data around customer acquisition in your business, which makes things a lot easier. And one of the important points I'll make here in a second, it allows you a lot of clarity when you go to deploy your resources in your business. Because that's really what all of us are doing. We're saying, hey, with the limited time and money that we have, what's the best use of that time and money? Right? That's what we should be doing. That's what leverage looks like, and that's what we're all supposed to be doing. But I think a lot of times, like I said earlier, we're lucky in our business that the clients are recurring, but it allows us to be a little sloppier in a way that can also hold our businesses back. Because if you're like, I don't know how much a customer's worth, but they're going to keep paying me for 10 years, you're like, oh yeah, a customer's worth $1,000 or whatever. I'd pay $1,000 to acquire a customer. When you have a business with a more finite LTV, meaning you know exactly how much you're going to get up front, it makes you be laser focused on the types of client acquisition you're doing. Because if your customer's only worth $1,000 total, you can't spend $1,200 to get them. You'll just lose money, right? We don't have that in our business, and that's great when you're first starting. It's a problem when you go to scale. So how many of you are doing more than 20, 25K a month in here? Okay, so probably about half the room. So when you're first starting, don't look into LTV, any of that stuff too much. Just do everything as much as you can until you get to 25K. But after that point, it gets really important to look at the cost of each of those things, the time it takes. Cost is not just financial, it's the time it takes for you to set the team up that can do that, or hire and train the VA, or manage the VA, or run the sales team, or whatever it is. So, for example, and this is something I want you to actually answer in your head, would you buy 50 clients right now for $20,000? Just think about that. I want you to answer that in your head. What about 50 clients for $50,000? I'm talking guaranteed clients right now. Would you buy? Is it a good move for your business? I want you to answer that question in your head, because the truth is that every form of client acquisition is buying clients. You're just doing it blindly. And when I was thinking about this, because it's kind of like the framework a lot of people had and a lot of questions they had around Engine, it was literally one of two things. It was one, they were like, well, I can't buy that right now. I can't buy 50 clients, or I can't buy whatever amount of clients. And so they were purely making that decision based around how much money they have, which makes sense, but they weren't calculating the ROI, or they were doing it based upon how fast they think they'd be paid back. But my guess is, and again, this is something you have to answer for yourself. When I asked you earlier, would you buy 50 clients for $20,000? Did you do any math to figure that out in your head? Like, do you know how to start doing that math? Raise your hand if you're like, I did math, I got it. A couple, so that's good. I had no idea that math. I couldn't have answered that question until very recently, which is a shame. I should have known that. I just didn't put a lot of effort into it. And so the problem with that for me, and I think this is probably true for most of you, and that's why I wanted to give this talk, is if I don't know how much something is going to return for me, it's kind of a gamble, right? And I don't invest as aggressively. It's like if you don't know how much $10,000 is going to get you, how many times are you going to put $10,000 into that machine? Maybe once, maybe not. So I left a lot of money on the table, and big picture, like my goal is not to come in here at our conference every year and like have a ton of new stuff. It's like, what is the one thing that I think could most benefit everybody in the room, or the one new thing that I learned this year? And that really is that I think a lot of us are leaving a ton of money on the table. So back to the cash machine. Let's say we had a cash machine where for every $1 we put in, we got a mystery amount of dollars back 2 months from now. So you don't get the money today. There's this machine that's right here. You put $1 in, and 2 months from now, you're gonna know how many dollars you're gonna get back. How much would you put in? And let's say you know for sure it's going to be positive. Let's take out the fact that you could lose money on this machine. How much money would you put in? Unlimited. But would you really? What if it was going to return $1.01 2 months from now and you had to lose all that money in the meantime? You'd still probably put some in, right? Like most people would put some money in, but you're going to put in like a little bit, and hope for the best. And for the gamblers, I had to have some Vegas references in here, but for the gamblers in here, you might put in more. You might be like, that sounds great. There's a couple of you that were like, all my money. And that's awesome. You got to take swings like that sometimes. But what if you knew that $1 in now was going to be $3 out in 2 months? How much would you put in? Then it gets more reasonable, right? You're like, all right, I can suffer without this money for 2 months. I know I'm going to get $3 back, and you'd put a lot more. And so in fact, every dollar you dump, you might dump every dollar you have, right? You might do something crazy to get the money because it makes sense. And that's exactly my point. Like the whole point of my talk is I want you to see how much ROI you get when it comes to every form of client acquisition in your business, because truthfully, I see a lot of you leaving huge money on the table. I did personally. And that money machine in your business exists. It's literally client acquisition. We talk about it a lot on coaching calls. Half the speakers talk about it. We all know we need to do it. How many of you would say, like, on a weekly basis, you do the amount of client acquisition you want? That's crazy. That was not a single. I mean, someone's got to be locked in. You get the point, right? I mean, it's just, we all know we need to do it in our business, and none of us do it nearly enough. In fact, I mean, again, I can speak for a few of you in coaching that come to my calls and have the same problem every week, but most of you do not do nearly enough client acquisition because everything that comes up in your business is more important, or it feels more important. And especially if you're doing something like, I know Emmaus, he gears himself up and he likes cold calling, and some people do. I hate it. It's like I'd rather do anything else. And that's really true of a lot of types of client acquisition. I mean, Instagram's not the most invigorating activity to send messages on. It's not like something I look forward to. And so when that needs to be done in the business, and then a client sends you an email about booking a shoot, and then another client calls, and then the picky client sends you a retouch request, like, are you going to do the Instagram method, or are you going to go deal with those issues? 99% of us go deal with those issues, right? And so what happens is the single most important thing in your business, the thing that actually drives the success of your company, is literally put to the bottom of the pile over issues you won't remember in a week. Like think about literally last week, think about not the worst one that happened last week, but like, can you name 5 client retouches last week? No, but most of us will do those before the thing that most grows our business. And so the good thing about client acquisition is in our business, because of the high LTV, every dollar you put in is a lot more than a dollar out. And so, yeah, goal is not to leave money on the table. We're in Vegas. I know some of you like to gamble, but I like to gamble when I know the odds are in my favor. So here is a spreadsheet we put together that helped us calculate this. And this spreadsheet, it's not so important to be able to like punch in your actual numbers. It's just more important to see the impact of it. And so the green is what you can change in your business. This is the math that, and I'll overlay the formula in a second. This is the math that allows you to figure out how much a client is worth to your business and figure out where the issues are if you have one. So the first one is cost per free shoot booked. So let's say you hire a VA and you pay them $1,200 a month and they get you 5 shoots a month. You can do that math, right? You take $1,200, which is what you paid them, and you divide it, and that's going to give you around $250, right? Slightly less. So that's where you get that number. That happens for all types of, you can calculate that for every type of client acquisition, right? If you have a sales team, we talked to Todd about this, and they know exactly how much their sales team costs them to get them a client, right? So that has a cost. If you're literally running Facebook ads, which I know a good portion of you run low-budget Facebook ads, you can calculate that. You can do that with the Instagram method. And so I would encourage you to do that first of all, because it's an interesting thing to see. The next one we can change is the free to paid conversion rate. So I'm not going to dive into that specifically on this talk, but if you're not converting 80% of the free shoots that you do to paid shoots, that is the variable I would put the most time into fixing. Because it impacts it so much. Like if we take that 80 down to 20%, you literally have to do like 4 times as many free shoots to get 1 paying client. So that's the second variable. The third one is average monthly revenue per client. This one is literally just impacted by your average order value. For most people, it's going to be about $175. Some of you it'll be slightly higher, but a lot of people between 100 and 225 or so. So if you look at your entire client base, and you take your revenue divided by that, you should get somewhere around this number. The way you improve that is by boosting your AOV. So the blue shows the results of this. And again, this is what I really wanted you to see. So if it costs you $250 to get a free shoot booked, you convert 80% of them. That gives you a cost to acquire a paying customer of $313. And if they pay you $175 a month on average, you break even on a client in 2 months. But look at this. This is what I knew it was good, like we all know it's good, but that's the math with those numbers. So 1 client is worth $1,050 to you over 6 months on average. Now you have some clients that do 10 grand a month or whatever, you close a big one, right? But on average, every client, the worst client you've ever had that does 1 shoot a year, and the best one, it averages out to that, which is crazy to me. And so here's the formula overlaid. That's our LTV. In real estate media, we just got to look at month or time frame based LTV, right? And so that kind of gives us our LTV over a period of time. Obviously, customer acquisition cost is the cost to acquire a paying customer. Speed is the date the client's won, because the client now is worth more valuable than the same client in the future. And then lastly, I'll move out of the way here, here's our vending machine. So every dollar we put in 6 months ago came out to be $3.36, then $6.72. So you can see the vending machine just keeps getting better and better. A couple things I wanted to say. So we typically see about an 80% conversion rate, like I said. As long as you're not below 50%, you're doing pretty good. Below 50, every form of client acquisition gets just horrendously expensive. So do the math on that. If you don't, do you guys know? Raise your hand if you know what conversion rate you have from free to paid. Okay, go for everybody that's. And I'll talk about free in a second. I know some people aren't the biggest fan of that, but for everybody that doesn't know that, go figure that out. That's a good takeaway. How is your percentage of conversion, and just take it within a time period. So what percent of those clients rebooked within 6 months? It's a good baseline. And then if you say free shoots aren't working anymore, this is my favorite thing, and I want to go into this a little bit. But how many of you are newer to real estate media? You're in our launch coaching program, and you're using free shoots to get bookings, or did that in the past? Raise your hand if you use free shoots. 99% of the room. This happens so much when you scale. So it works like a dream when you're a solo operator, right? Like you see people posting in the Facebook group, it doesn't work, and you're like, I don't know, what are they talking? Like I'm doing it every day. And you start to getting like 10, 15, 20K a month. You bring on photographers, you build a team, and I don't know what it is, but it's whenever people hit 30K, they start posting about how it doesn't work anymore. It stopped working for my business. Like, have you guys seen those posts? Everybody has, right? And it literally is just because it stopped working for you because your business grew. So the keywords are for you. And that's a really good indicator that you need to go back and look at that free to paid conversion metric. Because why this happens is when it's just you, you crush it, right? Like you have great customer service, you know what you're doing, you follow up well, like you hit the things that you need to hit to get a customer to use you again. And then you send your photographer who's good, but they're not as good as you were probably, and they're not as invested in making sure that client relationship is there. They don't want to irritate you by forgetting a room, and so they're focused on a little bit different things than you were. And so just a trap that I wanted to mention there is just be careful with that. If you notice it's not working anymore, it's not the market. It's crushing today for people who are doing it right and who are building their business in a way that is good at converting clients. So here's the fun part. That means with those numbers, one client is worth this. So we went over this. After 5 years, that client is worth $10,500 to your business. But if you multiply this, it gets better and better. So 50 clients, $52,000 over 6 months, $105,000 over a year, 210. Again, on average, your numbers might be a little different. Over 5 years, $525,000. And 100 clients over 5 years is worth $1 million to your business. In revenue, not profit, but it's worth that money. And so I just wanted to highlight that specifically. Is that more than you thought or less? Like, someone yell. More, right? When I did this, I was like, this math cannot be right. And when I make spreadsheets, it sometimes isn't. But in this case, with those numbers, it is. Here's 1,000 clients for fun. There are a couple businesses in the room that have 1,000 clients. And so cool metric to see is, if they do a relatively decent job, those 1,000 clients will make them $10 million over 5 years. So now how much would you pay for 50 clients? Like think about that now. You probably have a much better idea. Like, would you pay $5,000? Yeah. Would you pay 10? Yeah. Would you pay 20? Probably. You get it back. So I just think that's interesting. And another way to think about it, and this is it's a Hormozy framework that I guarantee you a lot of you have heard, and it like changed my thoughts on a lot of things, but we'll get into that in a second. My guess is that, and the purpose of me bringing these numbers today was I want you to get more aggressive with client acquisition. We talk about the COST acronym a lot. Like you have to fix your bottleneck. If you look at your business, is it clients that's holding you back? Is it owner? Is it systems? Is it team? Like what is the thing that's holding your business back? And you have to go all in on fixing that. And 99% of the time, it's clients for people, and they just hang out in that stage for a long time. It finally becomes system or team, and they usually fix it pretty quickly, and then they hang out in a client stage for a while. And by hang out in a client stage, I mean that's what's holding their business back, and they're like, oh man, if I just do this, I'm gonna break out of it. I was really thinking about team when I was looking at you, Chris, so I'm glad that you finally hired. Yeah, that is worth clapping for, so anyway. And so that was my goal with this talk, because there's a lot of things that I try to make it my goal to do, and not to make it all about the money. But the money is the result of you doing all the things you need to do well. And so I think of it as my job to help you all make as much money as I possibly can by the things we've learned in the past that didn't work for us, the things we've learned that work. And then when I see something big picture that I think needs to be focused on more, that's what I get to share here in this room. And so let me skip in a little bit. Every month you don't have a whole lot of new clients or a whole lot more clients. You're leaving a lot of money on the table. And this is where the Hormozy kind of reframe comes in. So you can think about it this way. If you don't get 50 more clients, like if you don't go home and make that your top priority to get 50, 100, 200, 1, whatever it is, more clients, every month, every 6 months that goes by that you don't have another 50 clients, you just cost yourself $50,000. And then another 6 months goes by and you cost yourself another $50,000. So it's $105,000 over the next 12 months and $525,000 for just 50 clients over 5 years. Okay, I think I could probably speak for all of us when I say we didn't build real estate media companies to do this for 2 years and then quit. I think the vast majority of you in this room are going to be Still doing real estate photography, owning a real estate media business in 5 years. And so I think if you know these numbers, my hope is that it makes you significantly more aggressive with all of the client acquisition that you're doing. I don't know about you, and there's a slide you can read because it's almost too painful to say, but I don't want to lose 525 grand over the next 5 years. And that's only 50 clients. Like imagine 100. And so I think like to sum up the whole point of this talk is not doing enough client acquisition is your business's biggest expense. And again, finally, we're getting to the Mosey reframe. If your goal is to do $100,000 a month and you currently do $15,000, every month you don't hit that goal costs you $85,000. Like that's a price that you're paying every single month. It's just a hidden cost, so you don't see it, right? And so I think of it as it's the biggest debt on your business that you have, is the business you want that you don't currently have, right? And so I don't know about you, but to me, $85,000 a month, if I'm making $15,000 a month in revenue, is a massive loan payment that I can't afford. And so I think if you can think about it that way, it can kind of hopefully light the fire under you of like, this is the top priority in my business. So get aggressive with client acquisition, pay down the debt. I think with Norman and Young, with everything I do, just doing this LTV math made me feel like I missed out on a huge opportunity. I mean, I've been doing this 12 years. My business should be a lot bigger than it is. And when that would have happened, like the seeds that I would have had to plant to make that happen, they should have been years ago. But I was just playing small on that because I didn't know the math, right? And so obviously you don't have to make the mistake I did. There's a Winston Churchill quote I love, which is most real estate photographers aren't aggressive enough with client acquisition. Obviously that's a fake quote. I asked ChatGPT to help me with some jokes, and because I'm not naturally that way. And the joke it gave me, which I was like, I can't fit that in, but if I remember to say it, I'll say it. And it could have fit in probably, but it was, LTV and CAC sounds like something you'd catch at a public pool. And so I got it in, that's what matters. So here's my advice to you. End the year strong with aggressive client acquisition, because the math looks really nice, and we're going into the best time of year to acquire customers. Like a lot of us get scared around slow season, but it just genuinely is like the single best time of year to acquire clients in your real estate media business. Because real estate agents slow down. They start looking at, they're just like you. Shannon's joke earlier, they're scrolling social. And if they see you in their feed, if they see a DM you sent, they get a phone call, they're like, oh, maybe it's a listing, which you have to navigate that one once you let them down on that. But like they're way more likely to respond to the things you do. It's across the board. Facebook ads, Instagram method, cold calling, brokerage presentations. Like this time of year, December, you get a little iffy at the end of the month, especially on brokerage presentations. But people are in the office. They're working on their next year. They're like, what vendors do I want to use? What's my social media strategy for the next year? Like they're working on this stuff right now. So don't, I was going to say make 2026 your year of aggressive acquisition. I was like, that, foregoes the rest of the year, which is the best time to do that. This is something that, as I was preparing it, I'm hoping that it hits because it's like really what I want to hit is the difference between your business now and then like the businesses that you've seen on the stage, the businesses that you're like, how the heck do they do that much revenue? They made their past years the years of aggressive client acquisition. Like that's what they did, right? Like do you think Mike just kind of waited for clients? He got some outrageous amount of money his first year. It was like too much. It made me angry how successful he was. I'm trying to find him, but I can't right now. Anyway, he did that, right? He did aggressive client acquisition. Todd, as he's been building WOW in different stages, him and his team, they've had periods of aggressive client acquisition. They close a big brokerage deal. The business boosts up. And so now they get the reward of that, right? They get to collect that money, and they get to have everybody else wonder, how the heck does Todd do 100 plus shoots on a busy Monday, right? It's because he did the work in the past. And so don't let client acquisition become an afterthought as you grow your business. Most of us do. And where that happens for you, like the moment it starts becoming an afterthought is where you get stuck in your business. So if you're like, I've been doing 20K a month for the last 6 months, I don't know what's going on. Probably not a churn problem, right? Like your business isn't big enough where churn starts to become an issue. It's probably that you got busier and busier and busier. And I feel like I've had this conversation like 10 times today because it happens so much. It's like, what do you need to do to break out of that, right? Well, you need to buy some of your time back immediately and then hit it hard on client acquisition again. Like that's all plateaus pretty much are caused by that. And clients are always booking. You have stuff going on in your business, right? You're busy. Like I said earlier, like if you're planning to do an hour's worth of cold calls and a client calls you and he's really mad about something, you got to fix that right then. And so the client acquisition is going to fall to the bottom of the stack, but that's your problem, right? Like you built the business that requires you to go put out that fire. And so the way I would think about it is like, what can you do, leaving today to get more forms of client acquisition going and have those happen no matter what? Because that's the thing that grows your business. And so whether you do it personally, you have a team that does it, you build a sales team, you hire VAs, you run ads, the key is that someone is always doing it. It doesn't have to be you, but someone always has to be doing it. For most of you, you're going to be doing it. That's kind of, especially as a smaller business, which I've shared this stat so many times, but I love it. The SBA defines a small business as a business under $40 million a year in annual revenue. So I'm pretty sure like this whole room combined is approaching that. So all of us individually are small businesses. And the key with small business is that you as the owner are always going to be the business's primary salesman or salesperson, right? Like you have to be the one driving it. It doesn't mean you're doing it, but it means you're the one saying, I'm going to invest in that, right? I'm going to hire that VA. I'm going to carve the time out of the calendar where I could be shooting and do that for my business, even on busy days and days, when everything's going wrong. And so big picture, just don't let it be something that happens only when things are going smoothly or when you have time, because if you wait for a smooth day where you suddenly have time, that day is never going to come. And so, make aggressive client acquisition your focus. It's my focus. It's actually a term I stole from a buddy of mine named Tanner, who I've shared about him many times. When I met him, I felt like I was in poverty after I knew how much money he was making. And he's younger. He's a really young guy. He's made millions of dollars by the time he's in his early 20s. And he always had these frames, like themes for the year. And so he used this, I ripped this exact theme from him, which was aggressive client acquisition. And so what does that mean? It means exactly what it sounds like, right? You're aggressively making that your top priority for the next period of time until there's truly another bottleneck holding your business back. So that means doing the Instagram method. It means brokerage presentations and brokerage deals. It means working to get more referrals, tightening your systems, making sure your photographers are trained well, making sure your churn isn't crazy. Just a quick note on that. If you don't track how many new clients you're getting per month, absolutely start doing that after today, because that is your primary KPI as a real estate media business owner, in my opinion. Like that's the thing you should be just making sure happens. And the cool thing is if you quantify it, right? If you're like, I will not get less than 20 new clients this month, if you're at 16 clients and you have 2 days left in the month, like lucky you get to pick up the phone and make some calls, right? But it gives you a number to sort of like strive to hit and control the growth rate in your business, right? That's that money knob. It's the number of new clients you get. So cold calls, all of the methods, work. The more of them, the better. It's good if you have limited resources to prioritize the ones that will fit you. But turn up the volume and then come share how it went on the stage next year. Thank you, everybody. All right, let's do some Q&A. So we have a bunch of people yawning in the audience, so stand up for a second. I hate it when people do that, but the yawns were making me fall asleep. So I picked a rough spot. Like the last slot on the first day is like everybody's ready to go do some Vegas stuff. Everybody's yawning. All right, sit back down. Let's do some Q&A. Raise your hand. Let's hit it. Preferably, you can ask anything you want, but I'd love to talk about this, client acquisition, costs of doing that, different avenues, that sort of thing. So we got some mic runners going. Just throw your hand up and they'll find you.
Over here.
Oh, perfect. Go for it.
You had to know I was going to be the first question.
Of course, and I'm ready for it. It's going to be a good one, too.
I have like 15 that I wrote down. So
you get half of one.
Okay, half of one. All right. Okay. Well, the thing that I think I've personally struggled with this year was, and I think you kind of answered this already, but you have the whole concept of buying back your time.
Yeah.
And so you want to, have Rep Engine do it or have a VA do the Instagram method. But when I personally did that, I tended to kind of not do anything with the time. And I just bought back the time, and then it wasn't as effective. And I'm the most effective salesperson in my own business. And blah blah blah. So basically, how do you balance the idea of being the best salesman that your company has, and then also stepping out of that role?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, I think if you are the best salesman that your company has, but that also means you're going to be the best at training people within your business to do that for you. And so I think big picture, that's why I tried to bring up the math, right? Like, it's got to be, I think, a little bit pain motivated in this case when you're like, hey, I bought back my time and now I'm just sitting there. Like, buy back your time, have whoever's doing those activities, whether it's getting you clients or other stuff, they can do that, but you can still do something, and it's going to be a lot easier to want to do that if you know the cost of it, right? And so that's why I wanted to show those numbers. It's like, it's $100,000 a year for every 50 clients that you don't win in your business. 50 paying clients, right? So you got to go through the whole like converting, 80% of them. But I think, for a lot of things, it's just knowing how much you're leaving on the table. And that's why that opportunity cost frame, which is, Hormozi made it popular. That's like a long-standing thing that I think hits with a lot of people. So I try to think about it that way. It's like, I know you have bigger goals than where your business is at. And so I would just, sometimes it's okay to lean into the pain, I think. I don't know if that helps, but hopefully.
Hey, Eli, over here. How are you?
Good.
Great presentation.
Thank you.
So, my question is, would you say 20 clients a month is a good average, or what's like a healthy number for that?
Yeah, so 20 clients, 15 to 20, let me frame it this way. Under 20K a month, 15 plus per month is pretty fast growth. So, when your business is doing 12K or whatever, 15 clients compounded, it's 50 clients in 3 months, basically. So that becomes like a pretty fast growth rate. You're scaling a team. Over that, it's just as many as you can handle. So I would say for your size business, try to be hitting 40 or so. Because what happens is the bigger your business gets, let's say you have an infinitely small churn rate, right? Like let's say you churn like 1%. 1% of a business with 100 clients, you just gotta make up one client. But like if you have 1,000 clients, it's 10, and that's 1% churn. And so where you're at, you need to get more to grow the same speed because you have people falling out the back end. So for you, I'd say 40 a month would be a pretty good target.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, sorry. Mine is kind of directly related to that. We averaged about 15 per month, and it feels really smooth of onboarding new clients. A few months ago, we got a broker deal, onboarded about 46 active agents, and it like completely broke us. And so I kind of decided that it would be a good idea to take a back seat on client acquisition for the remainder of the year. My question is, was that wise, and am I treating my future clients well knowing that I wasn't going to be able to serve them if we onboarded them? Or is that more of a limiting belief where I should have actually just been still crushing it and gearing up for a slower season, but like we were holding on for dear life?
Yeah. I think it depends a little bit on your goals and what you want from the business. Generally laying off on client acquisition is never the move, and I understand what you're saying. It's like it broke the business, but what I think happens a lot is like recency bias, right? So if you have a really busy month, you're like, oh shoot, it's gonna be so busy, I need to completely change my focus. And then, if you had that busy week where you gained all those clients and you felt that way, and then the very next week was like the slowest week you've had in not even that long, right? Like 8 months or 8 weeks, you'd be like, oh, what happened? I need to get more clients. So I think probably what happened is it broke the business, and that made you want to push out what you really want to do in the future, if that makes sense. So I would say it really, building a business is whack-a-mole 100%, right? Like an issue pops up and you can wait, but it doesn't get the business any more forward until you hit it down, and sometimes that thing disappears if we're talking about the game, right? It's like the speed at which you can hit those moles is the speed at which your business grows. And so I think you kind of pushed it out there because it hurt when that happened. And so if your goal is to continue growing, I would say you fix the reasons that broke, and then as soon as those are ready, you hit them back. You don't set some arbitrary, I'll do that next year thing. It's like, I'll do that when these things are fixed, because it's a little more actionable.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Check it right there.
Close.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Where we
Go
at?
first. You got it.
All right, I'm up. Eli, John here. We're all in different places, and so we've heard about different platforms, different processes for client acquisition, cold calling. We've talked about ads. We've talked about all kinds of things. Of course, there's REPP Engine. What would you say for different people, different parts of their business, different levels? What is the best route? And I know that may be unique to each situation, but what would you say? Hey, lean in if you're at this level, this level, this level in these different acquisition channels.
Yeah, I think it's they're definitely broker deals and broker presentations are really hard to do well and win when you're doing $2,000 a month. So I think there are some where it doesn't make sense until your business is bigger. The other thing that factors into it is like your skill and what you're good at. I think that's something that like, if you spend more time thinking about that, it's like if you, and you're good at cold calls, slam more cold calls. If you're not, outsource it. If you're really, some people can sit down and focus and just grind the Instagram method. If you can do that, do more of it, right? If it's working for your business. And so I think it's more about what you know is actually going to happen. That's kind of why I ended with like, it doesn't need to be you, it needs to be someone. Here's like the truth of it. The Instagram method is the most proven, right? Like most people in this business, or most people in this room have used that to grow their business. It's not the fastest, but it's the most proven. The fastest is picking up the phone and slamming cold calls. From our perspective, what we have to do is make sure that people get results, right? And so it's like, could I push them and try to force them to do something they don't want to do? Or could I find a method that's almost as good, but more people are going to do? Like that's what the Instagram method is. And I think of it as more like farming, right? Like you want to do that, you plant the seeds now, you don't get to harvest them for, whenever, a few months. But you're really mad if you didn't plant the seeds 3 months ago in 3 months, right? And so I think everybody should do that, whether it's you or a VA, that's like a baseline going in your business. It's a touch point. And then I think everybody should be adding on cold calls. And this isn't even like an engine thing. Like, engine's great. If you get engine, still make them yourself. Like, more is always better. They're so effective in your business. And we're just at a time where, it'll probably always be like this, but you never know that. We're at a time where it's really easy to get clients as a real estate photographer. Like, it is, we are so lucky. It's funny, just like the contrast of building REPP and building Norman & Young, what I learned, right? So, like, who is a REPP client? Like, I'm not talking about a forward, like I know if you're in real estate media and you'd be a good fit for Engine, you'd be a good fit for Ford, like I can find those things. Who is a good launch person? Like someone that wants to get into real estate media. And how do you find them? It's like you have to do what I do, which is make 1 billion videos and then like 1 million people watch it and then it funnels down to like 4 people who actually are ready. We're really lucky as real estate media business owners that our clients are literally trying to be found. Like you can just go hashtag and then search a real estate agent's name. And so I think taking advantage of that and like playing to the strengths of the industry is really important. So I know I drifted a little bit from your question, but like I'm more moving into like as much as possible, as many avenues as possible, and just hitting it hard because the math is very straightforward. Like the people who crush it in this business, they're the ones that prioritize that. And it doesn't, it matters the method, but it just more matters that it's being done. Who's next? JD, go for it.
Levi.
How's it going?
Oh, there we go. Yeah, so a lot of times I've noticed historically, I feel like I have a limiting belief of not having enough team, or if I go hard with getting a bunch of clients, like my wife earlier this summer, I was like, yeah, let's do all this client marketing, all this stuff. I was wanting to go hard, and she was like, if we get any more clients, everything's going to blow up. And I was already still like sucked back into shooting. So in terms of order of operations, is it like, if we really want to have a massive breakout year, should we just go hire a bunch of photographers and then just slam their schedules? Or how would you balance basically like having more availability, then more clients, or just go hard with clients first? What's the proper order of operations?
Yeah, I mean, there's like nuance to it because you don't actually want to like destroy your reputation of your business. But I think the way I think about it is there's kind of like 2 divisions in your business, right? There's marketing and sales, and there's like fulfillment or operations. I think the job of marketing and sales is to make fulfillment and operations hate them. It's a little inconvenient if you and your wife are on either side of that, but like that's the job of a sales and a marketing team, is to make fulfillment be like, we can't take it anymore, and like break the business. And then it's your job as the CEO to make sure that you're equipping fulfillment properly. Because you don't want to literally break the business, you just want to get just to that point. But the biggest thing I would look at is you measure that in 2 ways. The easiest one is how many days you're booked out. So if you start getting booked out more than 4 or 5 days on average, that's when you start losing clients. And the second one, which is really caused by the first one, is churn. So if you're like, hey, I'm getting 50 new clients a month and the revenue's been the same for a year, like churn is an issue, you're probably building the business in a way that's causing clients to leave. But yeah, I mean, the fastest way to grow is to constantly be breaking the business. And sometimes it just like that was a question over here as well. It's like it feels bad, but that is literally what growth is when you just keep breaking the business and you have to like kind of punch it up to the next level. You don't want the punch, but you want the next level.
Check. There we are.
So I think for me, in your formula, the biggest dial I could turn is fixing the free to paid conversion rate. And I don't know what it is, but mine seems to be pretty abysmal.
Okay.
And I don't think it's a quality problem or a service problem. Not sure what it is, but so a couple questions. First, do you think before I spend more money on client acquisition or more time, should I fix that dial first? And then second, what's the best, your best advice for cranking that dial up?
Yeah, good question. Do you know what your conversion rate is, or do you just have a
I don't
feeling
know,
it's-
but if I look at a performance rate for my clients, it's got,
Yeah.
100 of them have one shoot out of 200, and then there's a couple, so it's.
Okay, so I mean, it could be 50, it could be less. I would say that you need to keep doing both. Don't let figuring out one stop the other, because you don't know if your conversion rate's improving if you're not getting a lot of new ones through the system. So it's an at the same time thing, but I would highly encourage you to make a list of all of your clients that have churned. Like, look them up, see if they've done another shoot with somebody else, or if they've used you in the last 6 months is an easy metric. But if you're gonna call them, you might as well look it up, and maybe they just haven't had a listing, right? So figure out who's actually churned, and literally, this is, someone did this the other day. They were talking about Engine, and they're like, I think, I'm just gonna make cold calls. And they had a pretty high churn rate, and it was like, no, what I think you should do is Engine, but I think you should go call yourself all the clients that have churned. So in your case, I would absolutely do that. I would go call all of the clients that you think have churned, and you have to approach it. It's like the maximum humility you gotta hit it with, and just try to get them to tell you why they actually use somebody else. And a lot of times they'll try to smoke screen you and be like, I just use that photographer forever. And so you have to frame it like, hey, I know you're using another photographer. I'm not at all trying to earn your business back. It is just extremely helpful for me as a small business owner if you could give me any tips, like things I could have done better. And you approach like that, you'll get a lot of good answers. And so that will tell you how to fix that. But I think you want to do both. I mean, you just want to keep slamming it. Because, churn is, you have to fix it, but even if you're only converting 50%, the numbers still work at the size of business you're at right now. And so the bigger boost up is going to be just continuing client acquisition and making little tweaks on that. There's a, let me grab my notes on my phone. There's a part of like the client conversion formula training, which is what's like we found that some people with Engine were getting like super high conversion rates and others weren't. And so we looked at the ones that were like, what are they doing, right? And so we came up with a 3-step process. So it's what you do prior to the shoot, what you do at the shoot, and what you do after the shoot. And the more of these you hit, the higher your conversion rate's gonna be. So I only have 12 minutes. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna screenshot my notes. So these are literally gonna be notes. I'm gonna drop them in the event app, so that checklist, so you can basically follow that. And I would encourage you to run it for any new client you get. Like, this checklist is gonna help you convert more of them, and not just free to paid, right? It's like, even if they pay you for the first shoot, you still gotta convert them to a second paid shoot. So I would encourage everybody to take a look at that. It's pretty, it can be night and day on conversion rates, right? Some people can convert 30% and others convert 95%, and this is what the people converting 95% were generally doing. So I'll post that in the event app after.
Arthur here. Really quick, you mentioned churning. Could you please elaborate what's 1%, 2% means, what's math is, and what's the healthy range for the business?
Yeah, so the churn rate depends on, people usually measure it in years or months. So it's like, what percent of your clients stay a client? As far as a healthy metric goes, it shouldn't be very measurable. And that's the hard part. Like, if you notice that, like in the case where John was saying he shot for 200 clients and 100 came back, that's like 50% churn. I don't know what period of time that's over, but that's pretty high, right? And it depends on how you measure churn as well. It's like, is it a client that booked you more than twice that stopped using you? Or is it a client that never converted free to paid? So the big point I'm trying to make is measuring it is a really big pain in this business, and I don't know there's any great benchmark. It's just something to pay attention to if you don't notice growth, but you're getting a lot of new clients. That's kind of the smoke for it, that tells you hey, I need to look there and see if there's something going on. And that's why measuring the number of new clients you get per month is really important. Because if you're getting 20 and your business is flat, you're churning 20, or something's going on. A metric that Todd talks about a lot that I really like is market share. And so someone in here will know what that means. Just talk with them about that, the measurement and how you get it. But market share is a good metric for that as well.
Check. Hey everyone, I'm Tony Marino. My business is ListVantage out of Central Florida. Eli, my question is, what would you say to someone that, I guess I need to share a little bit about my story, but I was a full-time dad, and then I saw your videos, and I saw this as an opportunity to put my daughter in daycare and not be a full-time dad and kind of get a little more parenting stuff for myself balance. Mm-hmm. And so it took off like crazy. And so every hire I've done was always with the anticipation of, after earning someone's business, I realized that they counted on me and then eventually my business to be their media partner and whatnot, do their listings. And so every hire I've ever done was always in the anticipation of being able to support the growth and not letting like my clients down. Mm-hmm. And then like 18 months, whatever, 24 months later, 80 appointments, we grew like 18 customers in a month, 2 photographers, 3 VAs, but I think hate is too strong of a word, but like I really disdain a lot about this business. What would you say to someone that is thinking about either selling it or moving on? Or
what do you not like?
I guess the amount of money versus the amount of clients, like 181 clients this year, and then like barely a 20K month, and then what I actually get to keep out of that is, that's.
Do you know? So you said 180 clients and 20K a month. Do you know how many of those 180? Are you saying like you're doing a lot of shoots, you just don't feel the impact of it, or do you think you churned a lot of those? Like, what is on a daily basis making you not like the business, basically?
A lot. I think I give the team a lot of grace to be human, not be perfect or whatever, but just like that things don't go perfectly, or that in my market we do a lot of like mobile homes and lower price points. So when we get a 600K or 800K or $1 million listing, they spend more with us, sure, but the expectation's always higher, and then or whatever. I relate this business. I tell the team it's like a Broadway show. Every time we show up, we're like asking for our job again, or like we have to do a performance, and like to just ever fall short of that and then deal with the problems and the solutions. And I don't know. I didn't ask. Like I thought, like I was always looking at the top line number. Hey, I want to hit 10K a month, but I never looked at what would come with that. Yeah. And then after building or getting here, every time we keep growing, I'm like, this sucks.
Was there a phase you liked more, or just in general?
I tell my VA, she's the best. I love her so much. But I tell her if I had to do this again, I would just be solo, and I would just.
You have that option.
Yeah, for sure.
What makes you not do that?
I don't know. I guess that's a good question.
I mean, I'm not saying you should. I think that's like a lot of pain for me. It never comes when you're just crushing it in your business. That's not when you're like, I hate this, right? It's when you plateau or you build a business you don't like. And so it's like the pain comes from something that you can control, but a lot of times when you're in that, you feel like you don't have control over it, and that can happen at any stage, right? It's like, do you feel like you could go back to solo? Does that feel like a real option? Or you're kind of like, I have this VA, I have these photographers, like it doesn't feel like you can.
I don't think I actually want to go solo, but if I had to do it again, I probably would. I think it's just, it's like kind of feels high pressure in the sense, like there's just not a whole lot of room for margin, like for error, like, and at the same time, there's vacant homes and it is what it is. Or
do you shoot a lot of it, or
no?
Okay,
5 maybe last month.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because it's like, what's the alternative for you besides this business? Like,
like stuff that I'm more like passionate about, or whatever, being more integrated in like my wife's business or something.
Yeah. I mean, I can't tell you like what the right move is. I do think. It's like building a business is terrible a lot of the time. So like that's normal, but I think the times when it's not terrible are the times when you've done something in the past that rewarded you in the future. So it's like your business, like how much money do you want to take home? Like what's the ideal, like I want to take home this much money?
Take home 10.
Profits, you want to take home 10?
Yeah.
What's your revenue right now?
We did 19 last month.
And how much did you take home on that?
I would probably say like half. Like
so you're right, or you're around there already. You're just like, it doesn't match up to the workload.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where I can't tell you the workload's not going to get harder. But I can tell you that building a business, when you grind and put in the work and build the business that you want, it's like the most rewarding thing you can possibly do. And I think your goal, like if your only goal was to make, and only not being a word to put it down, but like if your goal was like I want to make 10 grand a month and enjoy myself, that is totally possible in this business. Yeah. Like there's a lot of people in here who barely work in their business that make 10 grand. And so you just have to decide, do I want to push through that for a little longer? Right. But if you think about it like this, like 10K a month doing no work I'm not saying it's a bold thing to ask for, but it's going to require you doing stuff now that other people are unwilling to do. Right. And that's why they just keep a job and they make 6K a month and they never do it. And so I think you got to basically decide, hey, do I really want to go back to solo, or do I want to really push through and I'm laser focused on this goal, but not knowing and just kind of being stuck in the middle, to me is where it sucks. And I feel like you're there.
Thanks.
Yeah, I don't know if that's helpful. But.
No, I wasn't sure, and I was hoping that's why I'm here to today, tomorrow, to get some more clarity on if maybe she can help me fix
I understand, like the
or,
business, any business, but it can be a grind. And so I think, if you feel like you're the only one feeling that way, it makes it a lot worse. I think a lot of people feel that way about their business. Not always. Like you have great days and you have bad days and you have great months, you have bad months, but I would just encourage you to really think about what your goals are. Like get laser focused on what you want, right. And what your dream business actually looks like.
Thanks, and I want to say thank you. I was one of the last people to be able to buy the course, and I got here through.
Snuck in.
Yeah. Black Friday, like
so when
2
was
years
that,
ago.
2023?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just kind of hit or miss, and then I got one client. My first client, she referred 14 clients to us that next year. Wow. So yeah, things took off pretty quickly, and then just doing a good job and.
You could be one of the first people to buy coaching today.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Oh, we got someone running. Bailey texted me this morning and she's like, the lights look bright enough? I think it was Justin speaking. I was like, no, I think they need to be turned up, and I'm regretting that. I cannot see anything from here. I'm looking at people. I don't see. Oh, I see you. Hello.
Hi. Hey, this might be kind of a dumb question, but we're just starting out. So there's a lot of really teeny agents being in a more rural area. It's really, really tight knit. There's a couple like one-offs, but most of them are in like smaller brokerages, local brokerages. One of them's a team where we've been working with them. We're trying to hammer out something with them. But starting out, would you maybe target yourself, like they say shoot for the stars, target yourself towards teams? Or just go for like the one-offs?
I wouldn't go for either. It's just like when you want the filtering process, in my opinion, when you're first starting to be as little as possible. So it's like, let's say you're, like what type of client acquisition are you going to do? Like mostly Instagram method? Are you willing to make cold calls? Like what's your?
I do cold calls, go to open houses, and then there's some agents in the area that I know that I just talk to.
Okay. I would say like the biggest mistake people make, in my opinion, is narrowing who they're going for. So sometimes people will say, hey, I'm only going to go for top producers when I'm first starting because they're the most likely, to give me a lot of shoots. But top producers are very unlikely a lot of time to use someone who's brand new, right? They will, but it's like sorting that out is a bad idea. And then the other side of things is also true. I'll talk about cold calls specifically. It's like if you're going to call, I just would recommend you go on Zillow and you just rip down the list. It's like you find a reason to call everybody and you spend zero time trying to figure out who they are and if they fit a criteria. So teams are great. Especially if you already shoot for one person on the team, depends on the team structure, right? But if you shoot for one person, try to get the rest. Otherwise, just keep, those teams will come to you and you'll have much more opportunity to win them when you start doing over 5K a month because your name starts to get out there. Yeah. And that's why the big companies, they crush at brokerage deals, they crush at brokerage presentations because they have a little bit of momentum and people know who they are. So your first step is just to get people to know who you are. You have the benefit of a small market, which is usually easier to do that in.
Yeah, I was just wondering, I'm trying to gear up with a team that we're working with a specific agent, but she wants us to meet actually Tuesday.
Yeah.
With the broker. He's seen our work and he loves it. So I'm just wondering if I should put more eggs in the basket
because you have one that's
towards
happening
that team instead of going after the smaller.
What would that look like
one-offs.
to do?
I think it would probably end up being like at least 10 shoots a month.
Or I'm sorry, like what would you do if you were going to put more effort in? Because you already have the meeting set up with the broker, right?
Correct.
So what are you asking that you would be doing to target that group more? Are you saying other groups like them?
I'm saying like, I would like to target another group like them and maybe have two different brokerages that were working with a lot of different agents, as opposed to like running around all over town for 10 different, like more low.
It's not.
low-end
I wouldn't approach it that way, because the amount of like driving around you're going to do it doesn't matter if you're shooting for a team or not. It's going to feel the same. Even if you shoot for a team, you're probably going to have like 10 points of contact on that team. It's going to be like every agent is going to call you with their own thing. So I would say where you're at, and most people's job here, but like your job is to plant as many seeds as possible. Not plant one seed and really focus on it, you know? Because like it may grow, it may not, but you like trying to do that isn't always going to do anything. And so I think the stage you're at, the nice thing about being newer to the business is you can have so much impact on your business so quickly. Like you can double, triple, 10x your business like in a week if you do it right. Because it's not to put down where your business is at, it's an opportunity you have. It's like, it's much easier to go from $2,000 to 10 grand than it is to go from 10 grand to 100.
Correct.
And so yeah, I wouldn't focus too much on any one thing, just as many seeds as you can get, basically.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so I have my MC card. Odd is a great MC, by the way. Do you guys agree? So good, so good. I got to demo the cornfield video last night, and when it first happened, when it was first sent to us, Bailey goes, "You have got to check out this video in the chat." And I was like in a public place when I listened to it for the first time, so everybody probably thought it was some kind of I don't know, but it was quite good. All right, so couple things. Let me read what it says in here so I can tell you. First of all, if you're doing between 0 and 19K a month, there's a networking event starting as soon as I get off the stage here in Melrose 3 and 4, which it says it's right down the hall. So somewhere out there is Melrose 3 and 4. That'll go until 5:30. And then tonight, 6 to 7:30 is the VIP and MVP private event. So if you have an event ticket that is VIP or MVP level, so you're at these tables, what you'll do is go down the elevators to the casino, and there's another set of elevators that take you up to a private event room. So that'll be tonight at 6, from 6 to 7:30. So come hang out there. And how's day one? You good? Good. And then one more thing. So there is, I don't know where I think the QR code is on your paper. I'm going to take a swing and say it is, but we're giving away $500 to anybody that submits a video and follows the instructions at that QR code. You have to have been in REPP coaching though, because it's about coaching, so I don't want a fake testimonial. So it's asking you a couple of questions on there. So I encourage you to do that video. It's like selfie style, make it super easy, and we'd really appreciate it. Like the number one thing this is an ask on my part, the number one thing that is hard for us is that 99% of people who sell anything online are probably scammers, and we're not in the group of the 99, we're the 1%, I hope you all agree. But everybody on the surface has no idea, and so they don't want to take my word for it as the guy who could be just scamming them. So your input and the true things that you feel about coaching in a video are extremely helpful to us and the team. So thank you so much for being here. This is insane. Like it's awesome to grow, but the room's almost getting too big. I don't want to go on the stage. So I appreciate you all being here, and we'll see you back tomorrow morning. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you. And if you haven't, I guess the music, that was like a weird way to end and then say one more thing. It's only right. If you haven't yet, and you want to talk with the team about Engine, they're not going to force you to pull out your credit card and buy it, but I do think it's the most excited I've been about something we've ever launched, and so talk with them. It's basically buying money at a discount, which is always a good deal. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.